Welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, where in today's video we are going to be continuing Naruto, The Tale of Two Sages, What If Naruto Was Louise's Familiar, Part 2. As always, if you're a fan of the channel and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Where we last left off with our series, we began with Naruto Uzumaki shortly after the events of the Tenchi Bridge arc. He finds himself summoned to an unknown world by a girl named Louise, a noble aristocrat and also a studying mage. Naruto, now being summoned as Louise's familiar, finds himself trapped in another world. But unknown to Naruto, someone whom he is connected to in a way found themselves in this world almost 50 years ago, that being the first Hokage. As many would know, the tale behind the first Hokage's death is something that was never really explored. So, using this as a golden opportunity, I have taken it into account that the first Hokage, where he ultimately vanished during the events of the First Great Ninja War, was that he found himself being brought here by chance, and shortly after he died. But he did leave behind instruction if anyone from his world were to ever come here. And now, Naruto finds himself in that situation. But, just because Naruto will be off on his own adventure in this world, it does not mean that things back in the world he left behind are staying the same. No, Naruto's disappearance will have a great effect on the shinobi world. For better or for worse, that's something we'll have to see in due time. But anyway, stay tuned as we now continue. What if Naruto was Louise's familiar? Naruto, The Tale of Two Sages, Part 2. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Louise was not having a good time. On one hand, sure, her familiar was pretty incredible, pretty powerful, something no one was expecting from her at all. But at the same time, she didn't like it. Her familiar talked back to her, hardly ever listened or did anything he was told. What kind of mage would she be if her familiar couldn't follow orders or stay in line? And to make matters worse, he was becoming popular with everyone else after his victory over Goucher. Suddenly Naruto was the talk of the town. And Naruto, even though he kinda understood the pressing matter of trying to get back home, he was kind of eating up all the attention. Keep in mind, when Naruto went to school back in his day, he wasn't as popular. No one gave him a look, no one gave him a time of day. But now, Naruto was having cute girls wait on him hand and foot, especially Kirche, who was definitely stacked to say the least. So much so that Louise would have to get on Naruto constantly. If Naruto wanted to flirt around with any other girl, then she couldn't stop him. But she did not want him anywhere near Kirche, as their families had been rivals for who knew how long. And for her familiar to basically be sleeping with the enemy, that was kind of where she had to draw the line. But there was also something else about Naruto. Something that she couldn't quite figure out or understand. How had he gotten this power? Just what kind of world was he from? Sure, he said he was from a place called Konoha, the land known as the Hidden Leaf Village. And that where he came from, everyone could do this sort of thing because they were ninja? Shinobi? She had never heard of this term or anything like it. She had shown Naruto a map of her world, and Naruto, from what he knew of his own world, this map looked nothing like his. None of these countries were anything he had ever seen or been to. It confirmed what he had feared. He had been summoned to another world. Summoning. Wait, that's gotta be it. Naruto would run outside instantly. Louise wondered what he was trying to do as Naruto bit on his finger as he yelled, "Summoning Jutsu!" Instantly, there would be a large puff of smoke, and then suddenly, there would be a large toad. So her familiar had familiars? She wasn't sure if she should be impressed or if she should feel worried that her familiar seemed to be a better mage than she ever was. Hey, Naruto? Kamakichi, you're here! Hey, Naruto boy, what's going on? Everyone's been looking for you. Jiraiya-sensei? Where are you exactly? That's the thing, I don't know. Do you? I can't tell. This world, it's not our world, Naruto. How on earth did you find yourself all the way out here? Wait. Huh? Hey, who's the little pink-haired girl? Kamakichi would say. Oh, this is Louise. She's, my summoner. Your summoner? Yeah, apparently I've been summoned. Hold on. You got summoned, Naruto? Yeah. Naruto would hold up his left hand, showing the ruined mark that was on it. Kamakichi didn't recognize it at all, but he could feel from its properties it was a summoning symbol. Kamakichi wasn't sure what to do, but he just told Naruto to hop into his mouth, and that the two of them could just reverse summon back to Mount Miyaboku and go home. Naruto was excited and was ready to hop in the mouth of the toad when Louise yelled, practically trying to drag him back. He was her familiar. He couldn't just leave. But at the same time, Naruto knew he couldn't stay. There were things he had to do. Although he promised he'd find his way back. Although he was kind of lying. Truth be told, the minute Naruto left, he never planned to come back to this world. It didn't seem like it was any real danger. No, they had their little squabbles here and there. But this wasn't anything he had to concern himself with. Naruto hopped in the mouth of the toad, and Kamakichi would do reverse summoning. There would be a large puff of smoke, and Kamakichi would be gone, but Naruto would still be there. Huh? What the heck's going on here? Why am I still here? Naruto would say, as he coughed up through the smoke. Louise was a bit surprised as well. If the toad had gone back to the world it had come from, where Naruto was, why didn't Naruto go back with him? Naruto could also feel a pain in his left hand as the symbol started to glow. No way. Hey, Louise, what is it? Is this the reason why I can't go back? Naruto bit his finger again to draw some blood as he used the summoning jutsu once more. Kamakichi came back again, and even he was confused. Hey, I reverse summoned back to Mount Miyaboku, Naruto, but you didn't come back with me. What's going on? That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like I'm tethered here somehow, and I can't just leave. Kamakichi would have to think this over. On the bright side, they knew where Naruto was, so that was easy enough. The problem was trying to take Naruto back to where he came from. Kamakichi had to get in contact with the others. He told Naruto to wait about 3 days' time and then summon him back. Once he did, they'd be able to figure out a plan. Naruto nodded, and Kamakichi undid the summoning and went back to Mount Miyaboku. Naruto collapsed on the ground. There was a lot on his mind at the moment. He was so close to going home, yet he was so far. He wasn't sure of what he should do, if there was anything he could do. At least he had a way to contact the others, but it seemed that for now he was stuck here. All the same though, Louise, she could see the concern on Naruto's face. In the end, she couldn't deny the truth. This boy, whoever he came from another world, a world far different from hers. And as a result, it seemed as though she had mistakenly taken him from her home. Louise would run away, running up to her room as she wanted to cry. Naruto could see the sadness on her face, and he moved to try to help her. Hey, Louise, what's wrong? It's just... leave me alone. Hey, come on now, you don't have to be like, just go away. I know what it's like. What are you talking about? I know what it's like to fail. What could you possibly know? You're the amazing Naruto, with your little glowing balls, your toad summonings, and whatever your little weapons are. There's nothing you can't do. I'm the one that's a zero. A zero? That's right. I'm called Louise the Zero. I can't do anything right. I can't do magic. I can't summon. I can't do anything. I ended up pulling a familiar who's a lot more talented than I can ever be. Hearing Louise's story, it made Naruto think a little more. He remembered what it was like for him going to the academy, being viewed as a zero, if you will. Naruto sat on the bed as she lied, as he patted her on the shoulder. You know where I come from? I was considered a zero also. Yeah, right. No, it's true, I was. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do the Shadow Clone Jutsu. I couldn't do summoning. I couldn't even perform a basic clone technique. I was the dead last in every way, shape, and form. So, I know what it's like. But you shouldn't give up. When things get difficult, you just have to double down. You have to be stronger than the obstacle before you. At least, that's what I had to do. Louise could hear the sincerity in Naruto's voice. He wasn't messing with her. If what he said was true, then it meant that Naruto only got where he got because of hard work. He didn't give up on himself when things got harder, no. Naruto, more than anyone, was someone who had to overcome the odds. Being a bit more upbeat about it, Louise would ask Naruto if he wanted a gift. Everyone got something for their familiars, and she felt she owed him something. Naruto wasn't sure of what to ask for since he had never wanted anything. Louise decided that she should get him a weapon, something more befitting of her familiar. I mean, the little knives and little throwing star thingies, yeah, they were cool, but she wanted Naruto to have a truly elegant weapon. As they went into town, Louise wanted to buy Naruto the most extravagant sword she could find. Although, even for her funds, she didn't bring enough for the much more elegant golden sword. But there was one, though. One that she could afford. It was a bronze sword. It didn't look all that special, but when Naruto held it, he felt like it was something he was meant to have. Naruto thanked Louise for the gift, and that even though he had basics in sword training, he had never gotten a chance to actually have one of his own, and he felt this one would do nicely. Louise was a bit embarrassed by it all. She had wanted to get him something much better, but Naruto didn't mind as he took a few swings. No, this was a sword he could definitely get behind. As Naruto took the sword in thanks, the two would make their way back home. Much to Louise's surprise, as she went to bed, she would see that her clothes had already been washed, cleaned, and done. Apparently, Naruto had left a few shadow clones back to take care of the chores, and Louise was grateful. As she looked outside, she could see Naruto out in the courtyard with his sword as he began training. She could see the intensity in his eyes, the way that he was able to swing around the blade gracefully. It was like it was something he was meant to do. For all of her mistakes, Louise couldn't deny that she was proud. She was proud that she had been able to summon Naruto. If he was as powerful as he was, then it meant he would be the greatest that anyone had ever seen. As Naruto waited to summon Gamakichi in 3 days, his time was preoccupied with a few other events. For Naruto, this was probably the most laid-back time he had had in a while, since he really didn't have to do much. Sure, he trained on his own, all well and good, but outside of that, he didn't really do anything else. There was an incident, though. It was an incident involving Siesta, the school housekeeper. She had been forced into servitude by some dingy-looking Count Mott, or whoever he was. And Naruto didn't take too kindly to Siesta being taken away by force. Without any warning or any asking, Naruto quickly ran after her in order to get her back. Of course, Louise was very worried, but not for the Count. She was worried for Naruto, and not because she thought he'd lose, but it was because she knew that Naruto might go overboard. As they had arrived, Louise being accompanied by Crochet as well as Tabitha, they would see Naruto had the Count easily defeated. Of course, this could be seen as an act of war or terror or anything along those lines, so they had to try to keep everything cordial. Hearing of the situation, Crochet figured that she might have something that the Count might want, a gift in exchange for Siesta. She handed him a book. It was orange, and it had the cover of something Naruto was familiar with. The series was titled Makeout Tactics, the visual novel by Jiraiya? As the Count was looking into the book and getting a nice view of the good parts, Naruto snatched up the book quickly. Naruto, Louise would say, that thing is supposed to buy your freedom. You can't just hold it. Naruto looked through the book. It was good. Really good. But that wasn't important. As he threw the book back to the Count, he turned to Crochet as he asked her, "Where did you get that book?" "That book? My grandfather had it. He had once tried summoning, and he got that book by chance. It's been in our family for a while, but I can't really read the language, and not much can be understood, although my grandfather enjoyed it very much." Naruto had to try his best to hold in this strange feeling he was having. This could not be a coincidence. That book, even if it was a bit older, was written by Jiraiya. Louise asked who was this Jiraiya, and Naruto would explain that Jiraiya was his master, the person that trained him, that taught him the things that he knew. And how on earth had they managed to get his book to this world? Now Naruto was starting to become a bit jaded, mainly because of the fact that there was something keeping these two worlds connected. And somehow, and in some way, stuff from Naruto's world was coming here. It only made Naruto even more worried, because what if something from here might have gotten back to his world there was no telling what could happen. All the same, Naruto was now even more on guard than before. As the next day had come along, it was the exhibition for the new familiars to display what they could do, their talents. Also, the Princess of Tristan was going to be making an appearance. Princess Henrietta. Of course, Naruto didn't really care much for nobles or anything like that, since after all, in his world, nobility was only something that could get you so far. But still though, when he saw the princess exit out of her carriage, he couldn't help but be smitten. "Oh, who's she?" Naruto would say. "She's pretty cute." Louise would elbow Naruto in the gut. "Will you be quiet? That's the princess. Show some respect." "She's a princess?" Naruto would say enthusiastically. All the same, Naruto knew that when it was his time to show off, he was gonna have to give it his all. Of course, the other students would display their familiars to the crowd, everyone getting a chance to see what they could do. As it was Luis's turn, Naruto would make his way to the stage to demonstrate some of his abilities. Naruto, getting a quick glimpse of the princess that looked at him, she smiled and waved kindly. Naruto blushing a little bit as Louise told him to snap out of it, and Naruto knew now he had to display whatever it was that he could do. Naruto would put his fingers together as the yell of Shadow Clone Jutsu could be heard. Naruto summoned as many clones as he could, almost 100. The crowd was in awe. There were multiple Narutos, all of them speaking and waving out to everyone. The Narutos then ran around, jumping high into the air, bouncing off of one another. A few of them even got a little cocky and started throwing some Rasengans around, allowing them to poof and explode in the air. Finally though, Naruto would create the Ultra Giant Rasengan, lifting it high above as it exploded largely up into the sky. Everyone was in awe of what they were seeing, especially by the fact that Naruto showed he was quite formidable in his own way. Just as Naruto had finished his performance, there would be an explosion from the school vault. Everyone watched as a large earth golem would have appeared. A woman dressed in a robe, hiding her face, looked as though she were carrying something important. Osmond would remark that that was a sacred scroll, a scroll written by a great sage from long ago, and that if his power fell into the wrong hands, it could mean disaster. Hearing this, Naruto would go rushing towards the golem immediately, as he and his clones had to go into combat. The woman with the earth golem would attempt to fend off the Naruto clones. However, Naruto would evade the golem's massive attacks as he drew his sword that began to speak to him. "Hey there, partner. So, looks like this is our first battle together." "What the? A talking sword?" "Yeah, the name's Durflinger, but you can just call me Durf. Anyway, stay focused. She's coming for another attack." Naruto moved and evaded the hands of the earth golem, as he and his sword now would take the fight to the monstrous being. The woman in the robe would attempt to hide herself as she used her golem, trying to command it to destroy Naruto easily. However, that wasn't going to be the case, seeing as how Naruto was just a lot faster. As he created an Ultra Giant Rasengan, he slammed it into the chest of the golem, destroying it and causing it to crumble and fall to the ground. The woman in the cloak would attempt to escape, however Naruto would strike her, knocking her to the ground and seemingly knocking her out. The guards in the crowd would rush to see what was happening, as Naruto had been able to deal with the intruder. Louise was amazed. Naruto's power was definitely something that was a force to be reckoned with. As they had finished, the headmaster, Osmond, along with the teacher, Mr. Colbert, would see what had been stolen. It was the scroll of the sage, Hashirama. Hashirama? Naruto would say. I had been putting it off for a while, but it seems I can hold it no longer. Naruto, is it? You know of Hashirama, do you not? I do. Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage. Hokage? Louise would say. Yeah, Hokage. One of the strongest shinobi in my village. He was our first. The founder of the Hidden Leaf. But how do you know about Hashirama? It's a long story. Please follow me to my office. We have much to discuss. While there, Naruto would learn the story from Osmond about how in his younger years, Hashirama had somehow found his way into their world. He must have been summoned there, or he must have found a portal and gone through by accident. But this was his final resting place, and this scroll was what he left behind, in case anyone from his world ever came, and Naruto was that person. In fact, their headbands even shared the same symbol, the symbol of the Hidden Leaf. Of course, he was waiting for the right time to tell Naruto, but it seemed that now was as good of a time as any. Naruto couldn't believe it. The scroll of the first Hokage, his last will and testament, his storied jutsu, and everything else. All of it was left for Naruto. It was then that Naruto would also explain more on his end about where he had come from, telling them that tomorrow he was going to be summoning his toad back here, and that hopefully he could get some answers as to how he had gotten here in the first place, and how he could get back. Osmond nodded, as well as Colbert, as they waited for the next day. Naruto would stand out in the courtyard. Louise, Kershaw, Tabitha, Goucher, Colbert, Osmond were all watching as Naruto yelled, "Summoning Jutsu!" After a large puff of smoke, Gamakichi would arrive once again, as he opened his mouth, and coming out of it was someone that Naruto knew very well. Jiraiya! Naruto! The master and student would embrace in a hug, as Naruto had been worried he'd never see anyone from his old world ever again. Naruto, are you alright? Yes, I'm fine. This is where I've been. Everyone, this is my sensei, Jiraiya, the Toad Sage. A sage of toads, Osmond would say. Jiraiya would nod, and he would thank them for keeping Naruto safe. As they went inside of the office, Jiraiya would be given a rundown of what was going on. To say that this would all be a lot to take in would definitely be an understatement. Naruto had somehow been summoned to another world, and due to this world's type of power, or magic if you will, he was basically bound to it, and until they figured out another way to transport him home, he was stuck here. At the very least, with Jiraiya around, it meant that Naruto would at least have someone to accompany him. Jiraiya, after he had been told what happened by Gamakichi, had sent word to Tsunade, trying best to explain everything that happened. Safe to say, no one in the Hidden Leaf could hardly believe it. Not Tsunade, not Kakashi, not anyone. Even the village elders were a bit stunned by this. But all the same, this could be seen as an opportunity. The Akatsuki were on the move, that much was certain. But Naruto was literally in another world. A world that outside of Naruto using the summoning jutsu, no one else could get to. Naruto didn't really like this at all. But until they figured out how Naruto could get back, for now, the best thing Naruto and Jiraiya could do was to stay where they were, while they dealt with the Akatsuki. Naruto didn't like this plan one bit. He didn't want to be on the sidelines while his friends were putting their lives in danger. Jiraiya didn't like it either, and he promised they would find a way back home as soon as they could. But for now, this was honestly the best thing that they could do. First off, they had a scroll left behind by the first Hokage. That was invaluable information in and of itself. Also, it seemed Naruto had been blessed with more power than he truly realized, and if he could have a chance to try to master it, then it could only add to his gains. This was an opportunity for Naruto to improve. A great chance. Because of this, the best thing they could do for now was figure out how to undo the familiar spell. Until then, they were just going to have to stay here. Jiraiya promised that he would keep Naruto safe. So with that, Naruto now found himself in this world. For how long? He wasn't entirely sure. But, on the other side of things, the world of Naruto was beginning to churn. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki was gone. When or if he would return, no one knew. But, one thing was for sure. The fate of many lives were going to change forever. This concludes What If Naruto Was Louise's Familiar? Naruto, The Tale of Two Sages, Part 2. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue My Hero Academia, The Dark Knight Returns. What If Deku Was Batman? Part 2. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.